everyone out there. Welcome to The Girls Who Waited, the Geek Girl YouTube show about Doctor Who and more. We are back after a while. Yeah, yay! We are back, and we are going to be doing a Series 8 overview. So, episodes 2 through episode 12, since we talked about Deep Breath last time. And we're going to be talking about what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, what we hope for the Christmas special, all types of awesome stuff. And as always, if you guys want to be part of it, give us your comments and your questions below in the comments section. And let's go ahead and start. So, series overview. Do you want to just start with Into the Dalek and go from there?
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so Into the Dalek. I'll let you start off on this one.
Admittedly, it's interesting looking back over these episodes, having, seen the whole series and what episodes stand out in my mind versus what ones don't. And admittedly, that one doesn't really stand out. I think it was interesting because I feel like Moffat was trying to tell us something about the Doctor, whenever, at the very end of the episode, the Dalek says, "You would make a very good Dalek, I see so much hate in you." And obviously that was not the point that the Doctor was trying to get across. So I thought there were interesting things about that episode, but it didn't feel super spectacular. It didn't feel super terrible. It was just kind of like okay.
Okay, well, in Into the Dalek, we see the intro of Danny Pink. We see him right at the end come into the show, which I had very, very high hopes for another teacher that we were supposedly going to see in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
It also shows us the Doctor's dislike of soldiers, which I will surely say has been my least favorite part of this whole story arc type thing all season.
I agree.
Oh my goodness, like, the Doctor's best friend was a soldier in Classic Who. Lethbridge Stewart, he was in command. He was a brigadier, so he was in command, but he was still a soldier. And a math teacher later on. So that's what just the whole Danny thing just boggles my mind for
I agree.
all of this, that he did not like Danny because a soldier couldn't be a math teacher. Your best friend was one.
Well, and how much time did you spend with UNIT that was basically a group of soldiers? And I know we've seen a lot of different things over the the New Who series with problems with UNIT and so forth. But yeah, I did feel like they took it to an extreme that didn't really make sense. I was like, whoa, why does the Doctor hate soldiers all of a sudden? Where is this coming from?
I feel like they made it like that just so they could make conflict with Danny, which I can understand why he's kind of like, oh, you're dating my best friend here. I don't know how I feel about you. Are you good enough for this girl? I can understand that, but just to the point that they took it, it felt like they were just beating a dead horse the entire season, all the way down to the last episode, which I'm not even going to comment right now until we get to it, because I have issues with it, but I will say this starting now. I did enjoy. Like, there are issues I had with this season, but I did overall enjoy it. There are a lot of things I really liked about it. I love Capaldi as the Doctor. I think he's doing great. I am so excited for that. I think Jenna Coleman is an amazing actress. Like, the way she has portrayed Clara, I think Clara has been written badly this season. But Jenna Coleman is a fantastic actress and has just, like, stolen the show with her performance for some of these episodes. Like, she is fantastic. And I want to see them just go back to the whole Monster of the Week format so bad, like they were doing in, like, the Eccleston and Tennant years.
Yeah, I agree.
So bad, because I think if they did that with Capaldi and Clara, or with Capaldi and Coleman, I think that the stories would be amazing.
Yeah, because
I think that would be just the perfect format for them.
Well, and it really became more about Clara's life drama. Like, oh, what's happening with Clara and Danny this week? Not.
Well, she's the gimmick girl.
Yeah, and it's not.
She's the gimmick girl. She was the impossible girl. Now she's Danny's girl. Now it's.
Yeah. And
She's
I
the
like
gimmick.
Clara a lot, and I wanted to see the two of them, like you said, on their adventures. And then I would have liked Danny as well in as a companion in the TARDIS, and like
Thank
three of
you.
them. And
I wanted him to be the new Ian. I so wanted him to be the new Ian and Clara the Barbara. I mean, they basically had the whole they had it set up to basically go back to the first season of Who, where it was two teachers traveling in the TARDIS with the Doctor.
instead, we
We
got
just
soap opera.
yep. So and the guy playing Danny, while Danny was also written very dryly, could have done awesome. Like he's a good actor. It would have been, and he's funny. It would have been great. So, but okay, on to Robots of Sherwood.
Yay!
Robot of Sherwood, which I was super excited for this episode. The costuming and everything in this episode was so awesome. Like when Clara came out in that dress, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is like old timey, like Doctor Who, where they actually like went all out. And I enjoyed this episode for the most part. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, it's funny because when I first saw it, I mean, again, this is like viewing it back now. Um, Again, I wasn't sure what I thought of it, but the more I thought about it, the more I liked it because it was that sort of monster of the week, Legend of Sherwood. Let's go meet Robin Hood. So there are a lot of aspects of that I liked, and the Doctor being kind of weird and like, wait, Robin Hood can exist? How is this happening? Who are you? Um, I didn't quite like the alien story. And then like, oh, let's shoot this golden arrow into the thing, and it'll be just enough gold to save the planet. I thought that was stretching it a little much. Like, I was like, okay, like I like seeing Robin Hood, but what? What was the story? Where is this going? Um, so yeah, it was kind of that episode was kind of a mixed bag for me. But I did like seeing Robin Hood. I did like the Doctor being a little bit like, what, who, how is this happening? And Clara kind of being like, of course this is real. Why can't it be real?
My
So,
favorite part was the "if you're real, you're going to be dead in 6 months" line, where he checks out the one of the merry men. I thought that was hilarious. Um, I liked that they had the Doctor skeptical, but I was also kind of like, isn't this the person that's like adventure? Oh, such and such was real. I totally knew him. Like,
yeah,
I helped Shakespeare write plays and blah blah blah. I married Queen Elizabeth, that type of thing. But this one was probably one of my favorites. There's two or three other episodes I really really liked this season, but this is probably one of my favorites from this season, just because it had that old feel for the way like how fun Doctor Who used to be, instead of where it just became like a big story arc instead of adventure, adventure, adventure. So, but that was just and just how the Doctor and Clara interacted in this episode. It made me happy.
yeah.
So, this was one of my favorites. So now we're going to move on to the next one, Listen, which was kind of the horror style story of the season.
I
So
I liked it up until the end.
until the end where we saw the young Doctor.
Yeah, because that makes no sense. Like, we can't get back to Gallifrey, but we can get back to Gallifrey with a young Doctor. Like, how? What?
Wibbly wobbly.
What? No, it's not. It's just Stephen Moffat trying to be like, ooh, look, this whole thing. I don't know. It's almost like he has some weird attachment to Clara and has to insert her into the entire time stream of the Doctor to create these scary stories. And almost like it's like with Blink, you had such this great, dark, scary story that even still was kind of not really answered about who the angels were and where they came from. They were just scary. And the same thing with the family blood. It was not fully explained and only a little bit, and good and scary. And I felt like with Listen, we almost got an answer. Like, oh, actually it was Clara whispering to the Doctor way back when, and that's why we're all scared. And I felt like it was like so disappointing. And we go back to Danny's time stream, and when they're standing there at the window and they're scared and they're like, is this a child? What is going on? I was tense and I was nervous. And I wanted it to be some kind of creepy alien that we never really knew what it was.
That's how the second we see the thing underneath the sheet, I was just like, oh my gosh, what is this?
yeah,
What is this? I'm so excited. And then it was just some kid playing a joke or something.
yeah,
So that was a bit disappointing. But like I did love the tension they built up in this one and how you kind of get that background story on Danny, which made me go, oh cool, they're gonna make this character really awesome and we're gonna get to see him as a companion. They're giving us backstory on him. And then they didn't.
yeah. Mhm.
So that was when I was just kind of like, yes, backstory, and it's creepy, and it works, and I did like the whole where they ended up going in the future too, and it was the spaceman thing too. I thought that was kind of cool, like, where they went to the edge, and he's like, oh yeah, all of my family members, because that made me go, they're gonna end up together, and
Yeah,
and they're gonna travel in the TARDIS for a while, and it's kind of going to be an Amy and Rory together thing,
yeah.
and then it didn't happen.
They just destroyed it all. They took your hopes and
I
dashed them.
know. There was just so much potential for
Yeah.
that, and they didn't do it. So, but okay, so that was Listen, which I was still sad that it was not like a scary horror episode. I need another scary horror episode.
Yeah. And we've seen
So after,
Moffat write great scary episodes. It was like, what? I mean, I
oh
know
my
I
gosh,
don't
I
think he wrote that
know.
one, but
It doesn't say on here. So, but the
no.
next one
Yeah,
was
no, it
Time
was.
Heist.
I have it. It was Stephen
Oh, you
Moffat
do?
who wrote that. So it's like
Yeah,
we
the list
know.
I have is just the name of episodes.
Mhm. Yeah.
So.
He wrote that one, and that's what's so disappointing is it's like we've seen you write great creepy episodes. What happened? You spending too much time on Sherlock?
So, okay, and then after Listen, we had Time Heist. This was another one of my favorites of this season. So I don't know about you, but this one I really enjoyed. So what did you think of Time Heist?
Yeah. I mean,
Eh,
I felt this way about the whole season, so it's really hard to kind of be like, oh, this is great, because the whole season overall was just not that exciting for me. Again, I felt like it started out, it was another great sort of like Clara and the Doctor are in the TARDIS, and there's an adventure, and there's a mystery, and what is it, and what's going on, and we don't get a lot of explanations for things, and so overall, yeah, I liked it. Um, but I thought the creatures at the end, kind of walking off hand in hand, was a bit, I don't know. It was like,
it was romantic for the aliens.
I guess
But
so.
it's this episode to me just had the feel of like an old 40s 50s heist style, like Ocean's 11 movie. So that at least was really cool. I liked the characters they inserted in. They did kind of make you feel for them, even though they were bad or whatnot.
Yeah,
So I did like the one chick that could turn into people. Like they made you feel for her. The one dude that could work with computers. I can't remember their names right now.
yeah,
But I really liked how this group of people that they brought together. It was very obvious. I kind of figured it was the Doctor that brought them all together very early on.
yeah,
So by the whole, plot twist at the end where they're like, "Oh, it's the Doctor." The fact that the woman was a clone, that was a surprise. Like that they worked that off really well, even though they did hint at a whole bunch. Um, but the whole fact that it was the Doctor that brought them all together,
yeah,
that was kind of obvious. But I really liked this episode. I liked the monster. I was excited to see another like big, awesome looking monster. Since we didn't see a ton of that this season,
that's true.
we didn't
And
get a
it was
lot of
not
aliens.
Earth-based, which was nice.
Yeah, it was very, very much Third Doctor classic-ish, like where he's on Earth doing more things than anything else,
Yeah.
and he's not necessarily stuck here like he was the Third Doctor. So
Mhm.
the Time Heist, I thought that one was a lot of fun. I mean, it was basically a Monster of the Week episode, which is what I really, really wanted more out of this season.
Mhm.
So next up, we had The Caretaker, which was set at Coal Hill School, which is awesome. This was the perfect opportunity to bring the headmaster Ian in, which they didn't do. They mentioned him, but they didn't bring him in.
Yeah.
I wanted that. It's on the sign. Show me him, and he wants to do like you could, that actor does all the Big Finish stuff. He would be like up for showing up on the show. But no.
Mm. This
So,
is
but what
one
did you
where
think about the caretaker?
I think this is one where we saw the breakdown of Danny's storyline. Like this whole time, we'd been really excited to learn more about Danny and kind of see who he was, and this one really had the Doctor not liking him. You know, going back to the whole soldier thing, and it was just, I was hoping for a, now Danny's gonna understand Clara, he's gonna understand the Doctor, and it's gonna be great. And in the end, it was a Danny doesn't like the Doctor. The Doctor's mean to him and keeps calling him a PE teacher. And just was like, what? What? It was very disappointing because I wanted to see it more of a come together of the three of them. And instead, it was like, yep, look, he's a soldier. And then Danny being like, well, he's just a general and he's a terrible person. And I didn't like it.
Yeah. This episode's the one that really reinforced the whole, but the Doctor's best friend was a soldier and a math teacher. He's basically what Danny is, just Danny wasn't as high ranking.
Yeah.
Why? Why? I did not like how basically they killed the security guard right away and no one really even, like, I was just like, oh, this alien just killed the security guard cop guy. And I mean, we see him at the end of the episode with the whole Missy overlining storyline, but it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, and then when he's like, oh, the Doctor's going to push you too far one day, that's so not the Doctor. I mean, and I've been watching, more Classic Who, and I just don't feel like that attitude of him being like, oh, look out, I've seen that look in the eyes before, and one day he's going to push you too far. Like, what? What are you talking about? I just don't, that didn't feel very Doctor to me, which kind of follows to the next episode too, but I just didn't feel right as a relationship between the Doctor and his companion.
I did find it hilarious that the Doctor was the janitor, though, at the school.
Yeah.
That was funny. And the fact that he was thinking Clara was in a relationship with the dude who looked like the 11th Doctor, or was made to look kind of like the 11th Doctor with the bow tie and the raggedy hair. That was really funny.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's when you see the girl, I forgot her name, she's in the next episode.
That is, I totally just had it in my head, and then Courtney.
Yeah, I did think...
And Courtney's been in a couple of the episodes.
Yeah.
But
I thought his interactions with her were really amusing because I think that was very Doctorish, sort of like he didn't really quite know how to handle a teenager. So I thought that was amusing.
And the fact that she threw up in the TARDIS was hilarious.
Yeah.
So that was really funny. So then that brings us into Kill the Moon, which this episode, to me was, I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed parts of it, and then there are other parts of it where I was like, no.
Yeah, I was the same way. Like, it was another, like, scary episode. Like, started off, what's on the moon, and it's empty, and it's scary, and this is frightening. And, like, the comments about, oh, I'm posting pictures on Tumblr. Like,
that was hilarious. And the girl going, my grandma used to post pictures on Tumblr.
I did think that was amusing. But the moon being an egg? Like, really?
Yeah. It's an egg to big giant spiders. And then it lays another egg at the end of the thing, so there's another moon. I did like the whole, like, message that they had at the end where Clara was like, no, we can't just kill this thing. We don't know what it is. It's a baby, and we don't necessarily know if it's going to kill the Earth. And how her helping that astronaut make that decision basically supposedly paved the way for human race later on. I really liked that concept of the story, but there were bits and pieces, like...
Well, I didn't like the Doctor abandoning them, because, like...
I didn't like that. No, I didn't like that.
It's always set up as the Doctor, kind of has a special affinity for humankind and human race, and he's like, oh, well, I'm out. It's like, how many times have you stepped in to prevent something bad happening? Like, what kind of doctor is Moffat trying to create that just, I don't think fits with what we've seen in the past?
I did. I don't know. I kind of, the whole thing where Courtney was like, I'm not a special snowflake. Why am I not special? You told me I wasn't special. And so that part kind of made me just go, oh my gosh, I work with teenagers. And
Hmm.
Clara's just like, just tell her she's special. Just tell her. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so much wrong with society that they're saying in this one like 5 minute part of this episode. So I was just like, oh. But the fact that like the doctor totally would have taken a teenager and been like, let's go on an adventure with your
Yeah.
teacher.
Hmm.
And I did like how the lady was, I did find it funny because since they are doing the whole Danny thing, where the lady was like, you probably kids down there, and Courtney was like, with Mr. Pink. So I did
Yeah, that
find
was
that
cute.
funny, just because it was cute. But
Mhm.
I I did kind of enjoy this episode, but like I said, there were things that made me kind of go.
Well, because this
But a
is
lot of episodes do that.
yeah, well, this is the one where, Clara decides she's not going to travel with the doctor anymore, and she calls Danny, and she's like, oh, it finally happened. He pushed me too far. And I didn't like that,
Yeah.
again, because I don't feel that's very doctor. Um, which kind of leads us to the next episode of Mummy on the Orient Express, which is, she's like, oh, this is my last trip with you. I want us to go on the Orient Express, and this is our last trip together. This is our last adventure. And so,
I
what were your thoughts about that?
well, I'm gonna start off with the fact that they used a Queen song on the Orient Express. That made me very happy. It was sung very jazzy and awesome. And I really love the fact that the whole like look they gave Clara, like
Yeah,
with the hair and everything, I was like, this is awesome. And this episode I was really looking forward to anyways because since the 11th Doctor, we've been hearing about this adventure on the Orient Express.
yeah,
And I was so excited for this because I was just like, oh my gosh, and there's a mummy, and I love monsters, and
yeah.
yes. So
It's a
this
good
episode,
monster episode.
I was very excited for this episode. I did find the whole, this is our last adventure together, kind of like, ugh,
Yeah,
just have an adventure. You don't have to keep saying all this stuff. Just have an adventure. And I enjoyed this one. I mean, it had equal parts of monster and science-y and alien-y and in space on a giant like train going through space, which makes me think so much of Japanese animation Galaxy Express 39. It's not even funny. But I did really, really, really love this episode. This one was one of the ones I was just so excited about. Like the second I saw the episode list, I was like, done. That's the episode I want to see so bad. That one and Robot of Sherwood, because those two were the ones I was just like, but this was probably one of my favorites out of this season. But what did you think of it?
yeah. No, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I did think it was good and exciting. I didn't quite. I mean, going back to for some reason, I think my overarching like theme of this is I don't like how each episode has been ending. Um,
But
because
with the Missy stuff, or
well that, but more so like the story end and how Clara was like, oh, you told her you were gonna save her and then you didn't, and he kind of misled her, and even though he explained to her in the end why, he has seemed very harsh this season, and it's almost like they're trying to make him really mean. Like I have a friend who doesn't like Capaldi this season because she thinks he's mean, which I don't think he is. I think there's a lot of aspects of him that are very classic Who, but sometimes I do think they've taken it to him being very harsh, and I feel like kind of the end of this episode and saving everybody on the train was him behaving sort of harshly. So yeah, but yes, I did like it. Other than that, and then of course, at the end, Clara's like, "Wait, never mind. I love these adventures. Let me just lie to my boyfriend and tell him I'm not going on adventures, but I really still am." I didn't like that.
So, okay, well, then we had Flatline, which was the one I was excited to see just because of all the tiny TARDIS pictures we kept seeing. So I was excited to see what they were going to do with that. I thought they had an incredibly creative way of. I liked the whole fact that it was a group of aliens from a 2D dimension that couldn't be 3D, and they were coming in through the graffiti and stuff like that. I thought it was a really cool idea for it. And hello?
I'm here.
Okay, sorry. I think my computer tried to freeze up. And so I
Hmm.
really liked the concept of this episode. And again, it was another Monster of the Week-esque type thing that, which is really, really cool. We had kind of a teenager who was a graffiti artist as its little helper. Clara got to basically be the doctor in this one, which
Yeah,
was kind of cool. I thought. I thought it was cute the way that they had her be like, you know what? He's stuck in the TARDIS. Guess who's going to be the hero of this story?
yeah.
I think, which was fun. So, I mean, what
Mhm.
did you think of this episode?
Yeah, I liked it. It didn't stand out particularly good, particularly bad in my mind. Um, it did seem like it was trying to be like super scary, and then kind of fell short of being real scary. Uh, but I did like it. Overall, I think I was just kind of like, yeah,
This one, to me, just had a feel of the way that Sarah Jane Smith episodes were, kind of, where there was more of. We had, the kid in there. Then we had like that jerky bad guy who was kind of a bad guy, but not really. The one of the guys that in the end that survived, the one who was making the kid do all the community service.
yeah,
I mean, so it had that fun feel to it, the way the older Doctor Who and Sarah Jane Smith episodes were. So, and then next we had In the Forest of the Night, which was the episode where all of the world is engulfed in a forest now. What did you think of that one?
um, similar thoughts. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing Danny interact with the kids, and Clara and Danny kind of being together through this school adventure. Again, this goes back to me not liking Clara lying to Danny. And so I didn't like it whenever he was like, "Oh, why do you have these, kids things here on the TARDIS? I thought you weren't doing this anymore." And her having to sort of cover up the fact that she's still going on adventures, and I didn't like that about Clara because I didn't think that was the type of person that she was written as, and I didn't like that aspect of her character. I liked the little girl a lot who was seeing things and hearing things, and the doctor kind of being like, "Why don't you ever listen to children? They're right." So I thought that was interesting. I thought the reason that there were trees there and then how easily it was all cleaned up was a bit silly. Like, oh, the Earth needs protecting. We're covered in trees, and there's a big solar flare, and now we're safe, and the trees are all gone. Like, what? um, I think it would have been neat maybe if it had just been London, or if it had been an alien. I don't know. I don't know. I just thought like the explanation for why was a bit silly, but I liked a lot of it, and didn't like the end. Per usual.
But I'm think I'm in the same row with you. This one was one of those that didn't completely stand out totally. I did like that the zoo animals got out, so then now all of a sudden they're just like, well, there's kind of, it's a big forest and how there's animals. So they did show where stuff had happened because of the trees growing, like the zoo getting overtaken, animals getting out, or stuff was falling over, and so that was really, really cool. And the fact that the doctor was like, well, you can't burn this down.
Yeah.
It's just gonna come back. Like, there's a reason for this, and this little girl here who stopped taking her medicine that you were forcing her to take, and now she can hear all this stuff again. Which, again, more commentary on our society with children and how
Mhm.
we just dope them up with medicine. We may have a bunch of little psychics everywhere, and they're all taking Ritalin, so it doesn't even matter. But but no, I enjoyed this one. Like, again, I just really, really, really wanted to see Clara and Danny in the TARDIS going on adventures.
Yeah.
That's what I really wanted to see. I mean, why, Moffat? Why? And then we get to move on to Dark Water, which is part one of the season finale. So what did you think of Dark Water?
Yeah. Yeah. um, it started off interesting. Um, I was wondering where Clara was going because she's on the phone. She's like, "Oh, Danny, I have something to tell you." I'm like, "What the crap is she gonna tell him?" Like, he already knows she's off with the doctor again, and I thought it was a very weird setup. I actually thought up until pretty much the end that she was gonna tell Danny or the doctor or someone that she was pregnant.
That's what I thought.
So I didn't get that. I felt like they could have had her on the phone to Danny, and just then he gets hit by a car, and I was like, "Oh, that that's bad." Like, I didn't care. I didn't even cry. Like, I was so emotionally detached from Danny as a character, and I wasn't even upset for Clara. I was just like, "Oh, well, okay. Where are they going with this?" Um, and just the whole thing. Like, and then Clara's like, "Oh wait, the doctor can save him, and I'm gonna throw your TARDIS keys away, but not really because you actually are the one that put the sleeping drug on me, not me on you." And I am so distraught. I don't know. I didn't like
I
it.
Well, they had where she's in her room and there are the post-it notes all over the place. I actually got to see a picture that someone had taken a still of it, and you could actually read each of them. And a bunch of them were, lying, 3 months, this and that. So I see the 3 months, and I'm like, okay, that's either how long she's been lying to him, or like you were saying, she's pregnant or something. Which is what I was thinking that they were going to go, and that's what she was going to tell him on the phone, and then he was hit by the car, and I will say, I was sitting there just watching going, oh, and I did start to tear up for that because it's sad. He got hit by a car and Clara's on the phone with them and then she's running and so it's sad and like especially since I really, really, really wanted to see more out of him so bad. Like you will hear my thoughts on the next episode.
Yeah.
But I just like I was so excited. The second that they're just like, it's gonna be a new male companion. He's gonna supposedly be in the like this is the way the BBC set it up. They set me up with a male companion teacher who was gonna be in the TARDIS, and I was just like, yes, yes. Clara's working at Coal Hill. We're gonna get another teacher from Coal Hill, and they're gonna be in the TARDIS. It's gonna be like Ian and Barbara, and it was gonna be perfect, and I was gonna be happy with this, and they're gonna go on adventures, and
Nope. We're gonna
no.
kill him. Yeah.
So they did that, and then we get the whole Missy thing, which we
Which,
don't find out who Missy is until like middle of the episode. Do what?
again, this goes back to suddenly the doctor has this power to go to the afterlife, which wasn't actually the afterlife, we find out later. But, like, all of a sudden he's like, "You know what? I've always wanted to go to the afterlife. Let's go." What? What? I'm sorry, but, like, that's just so stupid. Because, like, I don't know. That seems like then the TARDIS is too powerful. Like, I know some people don't like Doctor Who because they feel like the TARDIS and the sonic screwdriver are, you know, I forget the Latin term for it, but basically they fix everything. That, the God machine. You have this thing that fixes all problems, and suddenly somebody dies. Oh, and guess what? We can go back in the TARDIS and we can go find them.
Well, didn't Clara use that comment in Robot of Sherwood? Can you give me a response? Can you give me a solution that's not sonic screwdriver?
Yeah.
That was yeah. There's just so many great quotes in this. Like in this season, there were lots of great quotes. I will say that. Like in crap, which episode was it? Into the Dalek, where the doctor looks to someone and goes, "Don't be lasagna," and you're just like, "What?" That's so random. So I mean, there were lots of really fun quirks
Yeah.
within some of these, but exactly, the TARDIS can somehow go to the underworld or the afterlife now.
But of
Okay.
course, I mean, we find out it's not really the afterlife. So my question is like, well, was he gonna
Where
try? I
they
mean,
go?
I don't know. Anyways, that moving on. But so then we
Okay.
meet Missy, and she kisses the doctor, and
Or
she.
we met who we actually find out who Missy is.
Well, we don't find out who she is till the end of the episode, right?
Yeah, I think towards the like middle end type thing when they go out into I these two episodes are very combined for me, so I can't exactly remember where this one ends and where Death in Heaven begins.
Yeah, that it ends with her revealing who she is
Okay.
when they're surrounded by unit and yeah. Okay, which let me go back to this too. I liked I forgot her name. Uh, um,
Osgood and Kate.
Osgood. Thank you. I wanted to say Oswald, but I knew that wasn't her name. I liked Osgood in the 50th anniversary special. I did not like her in this episode because she's like showing up and all of a sudden she's wearing like 11th Doctor clothes. I'm sorry. Like, that's just trying to be like, oh, look, fangirls, here's you in what? What? Like, I'm sorry. I love Doctor Who, and I think it's wonderful, and whatever. But that was just
Too
stupid female.
soon.
I don't know. It was like,
I think I would have been happier if she showed up in a cricket sweater or something where they were doing more homage to Classic Who, since she showed up in the Fourth Doctor scarf for the last one.
yeah.
I will say I was excited to see those two characters, and I will say I really liked the actress that they had playing Missy and her being the Master. I thought I was so excited when they announced this, and then I was just like, yes, next season we're gonna get some Doctor and Master episodes, and it's gonna be awesome.
See,
Yeah.
I didn't like the master being female. I don't like that at all. I think that was horrible.
I
Um,
thought the chemistry between those two actors worked well.
I would have liked to have seen her as a time lady, though. Like,
I was hoping she was going to be like Romana or someone. I will say that. I was
or
hoping she was going
Ronnie.
to be Romana
Some people were hoping she was a Ronnie.
or the Ronnie. The Ronnie would have worked too. I could have handled either.
Um, because, like, you have I feel like I could be completely wrong. But in what we know about Gallifrey and what we know about Time Lords and Time Ladies, is that there are Time Lords and that there are Time Ladies, and it's never been established that their gender can change. And I don't have a problem with Time Ladies. What I have a problem with is, oh hey, look, I can suddenly change genders now. Like, and then you change your name. Like, that's a name you take that identifies who you are, and I just I didn't like it. I didn't feel like it was true to Classic Who, which I feel like they've tried to connect to. Like, I don't want somebody coming in, oh well, New Who's like new and different, and they're changing things up. I think that they've often tried to connect back to Classic Who and acknowledge the existence of a 50 years of history that we have. And I think that by taking the master and making it the mistress is just nonsense. Like, why did you have to take a male character and turn it into a female? Why couldn't you have taken a female character and left them female? Whether it was the Rani or Romana or even a new time lady that somehow escaped. I mean, I don't know. That's my soapbox.
And I will say I was hoping it was one of the characters we had seen in Classic Who because I did want them to bring him in. But I will say that actress did play Crazy very well.
She did. She did.
So she did play Crazy very, very well. So then that moves us on into Death in Heaven, which is the second part of this episode, where we see Missy bringing back all the dead people that she's uploaded and also previously had, because some of the characters they were telling us later on could not have been uploaded, I guess, unless she's been uploading them for 3 years or something.
Although
Um,
apparently she has, she's gone like back in time with Time Lord stuff. That was nonsense too. I'm sorry. I didn't like this episode.
so we see um, Danny. Well, also for Dark Water, we got to see the whole thing, the whole conflict that Danny had about how he had I guess, accidentally shot a child while he was at war,
Mhm.
and all of that. And you get to see him meet the kid that he shot and all that mess. So we did kind of learn more about Danny's character, because he's now dead and stuff. And for Death in Heaven, we got to see more of that. We got to see that, now he's a Cyberman because all the dead people are now Cybermen. And now he's supposedly like in charge of the Cybermen. He's like their general or whatnot, the way they made it out to be, which really, 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 really bugged me.
Well, that wasn't till like the end. It was more like somehow because he didn't hit delete, like, oh look, I
He
survived.
still had, yeah, he still had his emotions and stuff.
I do want to say the part where it's in the first part of the part two ending, and they're talking about the static and how they heard the voices, don't cremate me, don't cremate me. That was terrifying.
Yes.
Like that would have made such a great one-off, or something else to have taken that and used that. I don't know how, but that had like the little like some of these episodes had little samplings of good scary stuff that we never really saw carried through, and with this sort of like after heaven really being Time Lord technology to bring back the Cybermen. What? Like, ah,
I did think the concept of the Dark Water with the Cybermen in there and you could just see the skeletons was really, really cool.
yeah.
Like that whole just visual in the episode, like when the water's going down and you're not seeing just the skeleton anymore and you're seeing the Cybermen, that was really, really cool. Like
Yeah.
that was awesome. Just that whole concept. And but there are just things about this episode. One, I was really sad they killed Osgood. I wanted to see more of her and Kate later on, and they basically made this awesome character in the 50th. And, even though she didn't have a huge part in these episodes, they still brought her in. And the fact that her and herself was a nod to Classic Who. There was another, like, scientist at UNIT in Classic Who with the last name Osgood. So basically, she was like his daughter. So they gave us, with her and Kate Stewart, they gave us like that nod to Classic Who within those two characters where they brought them in the 50th, and then they showed up again. So I was really sad that they weren't just going to use them now, use them more later on. At least, well, we have Kate, but no Osgood. So I don't know if that actress got a job somewhere else or what, but that made me sad. I was really sad about that.
I wasn't. Like, I feel so bad, but I was glad. I was glad she died because I found her annoying, which is terrible because I did like her character in 50th. Sorry, I have a cold. My voice is going. But I didn't like.
But just because they wrote her bad in one episode out of two
I know.
doesn't mean they wouldn't have written her bad later on.
I know. But I feel like it was Moffat trying to be like, I'm in control. Don't forget it. Haha. Kill somebody. Like, I felt like he was trying to tug at our emotional heartstrings and be like, I can kill Danny and I can kill Osgood and don't forget it. And I really felt there was no
I
point.
will say the Osgood one did come as a surprise for me. Like,
yeah,
that one was a shock.
Surprise. I just wasn't upset. But I felt like Moffat was trying to make a statement by killing her, and I felt like there was no statement that was actually made. And it was just kind of like, there was no purpose to her death. Which makes me upset. I am upset that I felt like there was no purpose to her death.
So, and the other thing that, like, now we've gotten past the whole where they've killed Osgood. When they show Clara in the cemetery, and she sees the Cyberman that's Danny, and he takes the mask off, and he's like, cut my emotions off. They basically, okay, from when Danny came in, they've been trying this whole time, and he has been so adamant on he is not just a soldier. He is, something else. He is something better than a soldier. And in the end, they just made him like a soldier.
Yeah.
They turned him into a Cyberman. They made him a soldier. And that really, really, really bothered me that this whole season they've been trying to show this man who came back from war and he had issues because he accidentally killed like a teenage boy in the line of fire, and how he was trying to move on from that and be more than that. And in the end, they just made him that.
Yeah.
And that really, really bugged me. Like, why would you take a character that you could do so much with and just do that? Why? Why? Like, that's the one thing that really, the one of two things that really, really bugged me. So just.
Yeah, and that was the first time I actually really liked Danny, was when he and Clara were in the graveyard and she was like actually trying to turn off his emotions for him, and the doctor was like, "No, don't do that. He'll kill you." Like, that was the first time I really felt for Clara and Danny, and that was really upset me because I wanted to see more of them and I wanted to see them connecting, and I don't think it should have taken that long for me to have connected to those characters. And then, like you said, he just was like, "I'm a soldier. I've always been a soldier. Just keep me that way." Like, what?
It's like we are all
No.
not just cookie cutter cutouts of one thing. And they tried to show that at the beginning with that character saying, "This is not who I am. I am not this. I am, this is what I am." And in the
Hmm.
end, they just made him that, and it made me sad. And then the other thing, and I actually posted about this on our Facebook page, and we had a lot of people that were very torn between some of these things about how they made, at the very end of the episode, the one Cyberman who's supposed to be Lethbridge
Yeah.
Stewart. And
Uh.
that really bugged me.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the way they should have tried to pay homage to that character. I know my friend Kirk said on our Facebook page that he thought it was a travesty to
Yeah.
the character and to Classic Who. And I call Kirk out because I've known him for years, so I can get away with saying what he said on the Facebook page. But and I kind of agree with that. I mean, I understand that he was trying to, because they did show the photo of him on their big, airplane and
And I was
how
like,
and
too, like, oh well, the world has decided you're going to be our president if this ever happens, and now you're Mr. President, and what? Like, nobody else in the world but England knows about the doctor, like,
well,
but
there
also,
there was there was Nixon.
well, I'm just saying, like, it's so ridiculous to think that the entire world has agreed. Oh, yes, we're gonna choose the doctor just because. What? I get them trying to protect him, but they're like, oh, Mr. President, you're on board, and oh, by the way, we have like this shrine to the Brigadier on this plane. And I like the Brigadier a lot. I think he's a great character, but it was so random. And then I think, like you said, they were trying to be like, oh, look, he saved Kate's life. Like, couldn't we have saved Kate's life some other way?
That's what I was thinking. They didn't have to make the Brigadier a Cyberman who then flew off in the end, and that kind of bugged me. I would have loved to have seen him pay homage to the Brigadier some other way. Not necessarily that. I mean, they've brought in a character who's his daughter, so they do bring him up whenever she's in episodes, and that's really, really cool. But I didn't need him to be a Cyberman.
Yeah. Well, and then when Missy was like, yeah, and now you're in control of this entire army. This is what you've always wanted. And that was the only reason she'd done it. Look, now, Doctor, you're in control. Yay.
And then they kill Missy. So we're like, oh, they brought in this master mistress character. There was just a lot of killing,
Yeah. And, like,
and not
no.
all of it needed to happen, and it was not very warranted.
Yeah. And
So
it just felt very, it didn't feel very
forced.
Doctor Who. It felt very, what?
Forced.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, I've watched Doctor Who, I've watched every episode this season, but it's been more out of habit than because I was genuinely engaged with the story. And I just was like, I think I kept watching because I was like, it'll get better. It'll get better. It'll get better. And it got worse. And, like, it ended on such a note that and then too, Clara and the Doctor lying to one another at the end. And I know that sometimes the Doctor has lied to his companions to protect them, but I didn't like it. And I like Clara and Capaldi, and I want to see them having the same type of relationship that we saw with Rose and Nine.
And
But
truthfully, I think they ended it like that because originally the Christmas special was supposed to be Clara's last episode, and then Coleman decided she wanted to stay, and they actually nixed half of the first few episodes of the next season because that actress was like, I want to stay. And they were like, well, we want you to stay. So they actually rewrote a couple of the episodes that they were already writing for next season so the actress could stay, from what I've read
yeah,
online. And but no, I agree. And I will say the one thing that from the last episode that was kind of really heart-wrenching was when Danny sends the little boy
yeah.
back instead of himself.
And how did he
And
do
you
that? Like what? What? There's a
there was
magic
something
bracelet?
on that bracelet or whatever that allowed him to do that or whatever because the doctor had set it so that he could come back or whatever. As
It's,
long as I guess body was still there or something, I don't know.
it's
So
I'm sorry, I just didn't like it.
but no, I will say overall most of this season episode wise, not necessarily certain episodes, I enjoyed, and I'm really, really excited to see more Capaldi. I am so excited for the Christmas special. Nick Frost playing Santa Claus. That's awesome. That's perfect. I mean, if we had Simon Pegg in there, it would be like one of their buddy movies. It would be amazing. But we've already had Simon Pegg, so I kind of wish we would have him again. But I am really excited for the Christmas special. I know you said you haven't seen any of the stuff for it. You need to go watch the Children in Need and the trailer because they both of those are out. They have a special like 5 minute thing of the Children in Need special, which shows us Nick Frost as Santa talking to the doctor. And to Clara. It's really, really cool. And because you got to see a little bit of it, did you watch all the way at the end where they showed Santa show up?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got to see that, and then there's the trailer, and the BBC is doing up until the Christmas special. They're doing a new snippet every day, and so not all of it's necessarily Christmas special stuff. Some of it is like them asking the cast, what would be the perfect Christmas for you, or
Yeah.
they have wallpapers and stuff like that. So if that's something that you like, go check out the BBC's Doctor Who site. But I know I'm really excited for the Christmas special. I adore the Christmas specials. These are some of my favorite some of my favorite episodes are Christmas specials. So I'm really excited for the Christmas special.
Well, I hope it's good.
I'm
Honestly,
really looking forward to it.
I mean, after watching this season of Doctor Who, like I said at the beginning, I really like Capaldi. I think he has a lot of potential, especially to reflect back to a lot more of what we've seen in classic Who. I think it's time for Moffat to step away. I don't like what he's doing. I don't like where he's taking the characters. I don't like these like little things he's trying to throw in the episodes and then be like, "Oh, look, it's the master." I think he's spent so much time trying to focus on writing good Sherlock episodes and then trying to top himself with episodes like Blink and Girl in the Fireplace and The Family Blood that now that he has such full control, I just don't think it's there anymore, and I really think it's time to see somebody else.
Well, I will say I'm really excited for this. We're going to get our first woman writer in years next season.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for that because our last woman writer was Dalek, I think, was the lady that wrote Dalek, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I know it's not New Who. New Who's
It's
never
been
had
no,
it.
there was one New Who, and I think it was in Eccleston. We had one lady. Give me 1 second. I'm going to check this out. But we've had one female writer in New Who, and it wasn't an episode most people liked. So
Well, was it Daleks in Manhattan or was it just Dalek?
it might have been Daleks in Manhattan. Give me 1 second. I just remember we had one female writer from New Who so far, but since then we have not really had anything else. Yeah, writer Helen Rayner,
Okay.
and so it was Daleks in Manhattan, and that's basically, if I remember right, Daleks in Manhattan, Evolution of the Daleks. And then she then wrote another two-part story for series 4 entitled Centauran Stratagem and the Poison in the Sky. So she's basically, I think, one of the only female writers that we've gotten, and she helped co-write script stuff or script editing on other ones. Like she was script editor on Silence of the Library and Forest of the Dead and stuff like that. But she's one of the only women we've really gotten to do episodes on Doctor Who. So I'm excited that next season we're actually going to have another lady writing an episode, which is refreshing, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited that we're going to have Capaldi back for next season. So I'm hoping it stands up for you a little bit more.
I hope so too. I really do. I really do think a lot of it falls on Moffat, and that I'd really like to see him step down. But I think he's too full of himself. And I know that sounds terrible, but I really think that he's very proud of what he's done with Doctor Who, and I just don't think that he will. I remember reading an interview with Neil Gaiman, and they were asking him if he'd ever want to be showrunner for Doctor Who, and he said, "Oh no, I've seen Moffat's life. You know, he's on vacation and he's writing and he's staying up late nights writing and he's spending weekends writing because he's writing for Doctor Who and he's writing for Sherlock." And at some point, I mean, that wears on you. Not only has he been writing for Doctor Who for several years, but you know, he wrote and created Coupling, and at some point, I think you kind of burn out, and you have to do so much with Sherlock. There's such an expectation for Sherlock and such an expectation for Doctor Who. I think that puts a lot of pressure on you as a writer. And I would just kind of like to see maybe somebody we don't know, or maybe somebody like Mark Gatiss, who loves Classic Who, really getting more.
That's who I would love to see. I would love to see them bring in some of our Classic Who writers to actually do episodes that are still out there. That would be amazing. But okay. Well, we're gonna wrap this up because we're kind of just rambling now.
Yeah.
So, but next week we are going to be back, and we are going to talk about our anticipation for the Christmas special, and we are going to do a review on the new IDW. Is it IDW or Titan? It's Titan. Titan Comics, the new 10th and 11th Doctor comic. So we're actually going to review the first issue of both of those, which I think up to now they're on like issue 4 or 5. So there's a few issues in, and you can still find them at comic shops. If you shop at a comic shop like I do, like the ones like I shop at, they generally keep the last few issues out on the wall, so you can pick up the last few issues if you've missed them. We're gonna do a review of that and just talk Doctor Who news. So check us out next week, and I'm gonna let you close on out.
All right, well, as always, thank you so much for watching. We'd love to hear what you think of Series 8, what you think of Peter Capaldi, what you think of Jenna Coleman, and what you think about the future of Doctor Who. Sorry that we didn't keep up with it quite as well this season, but we hopefully will be back with a lot more episodes soon, some more great interviews and things that have been going on while we've been away.
We've got some really fun interviews for you guys. I cannot wait to get them from Long Island Who for you guys. We got amazing interviews. I can't wait to share them with you guys.
Those will hopefully be up soon. And as always, check us out on Facebook. We are constantly posting Doctor Who updates and news and great exciting things over there. Subscribe to us here on YouTube and let us know what you think. I'm your host, Lil, with my fantastic co-host, Angela.
Bye.
We'll see y'all next time.